The nightmare began 30 years ago. No one saw the Varaxis horde coming. Their ships appeared without warning at the edges of populated systems. Black vessels shaped like twisted hands, moving with purpose and showing no mercy. Ben Harris was only 8 years old when they attacked his home colony on Proxima B. He remembered the sirens, the panic, and his parents rushing him to the emergency shelters. They never made it. A blast from orbit vaporized their transport, along with thousands of others fleeing the city. Somehow, Ben survived. He was found days later by rescue teams, wandering the ruins alone. Now, at 38, Captain Ben Harris stood on the bridge of Earth's most advanced warship, looking at footage of yet another world falling to the same enemy. "New Centauri is gone," said Admiral Nancy Coleman, her face grim on the view screen. 10 million colonists. The defense fleet didn't even slow them down. Harris nodded, his face showing nothing. He had learned long ago to hide his pain. "And the Council worlds?" "Falling one by one. The Arcturians fought bravely, but their fleet is destroyed. The Regelian Confederation surrendered, but it made no difference. The Varaxis simply continued their attack." The Admiral paused. "Earth stands nearly alone now, Ben. What about our allies in the Tau Ceti system?" Silent for 3 weeks. "We must assume the worst." Harris turned to look at his ship. The USS Defiant wasn't large compared to the massive battleships of fallen alien civilizations, but she was special. For 20 years, humanity had gathered technology from friendly alien races, studied Varaxis wreckage, and poured every resource into creating this one vessel, a ship that might stand a chance. "The Defiant is ready," Harris said. "We've completed all tests. The quantum core is stable. Weapons and defensive systems exceed expectations." Admiral Coleman nodded. "Then you understand your mission." It wasn't a question. They both knew what had to be done. Earth scientists had finally discovered the secret of the Varaxis horde. They operated as a unified mind across vast distances, controlled by a central node. Find that node, destroy it, and the entire horde might collapse. "My crew is prepared," Harris said. 100 volunteers, the best Earth has to offer. "And they all understand this may be one way?" Harris met her eyes. "Every one of them, Admiral. We've all lost someone to the Varaxis. This isn't just a mission, it's personal." The Admiral's expression softened slightly. "I knew your parents, Ben. They would be proud." Harris looked away. "We launch in 6 hours. I should finish preparations." "Godspeed, Captain. The hopes of Earth go with you." The screen went dark. Harris stood alone for a moment, then walked through the corridors of his ship. The Defiant hummed with power. Her hull contained technologies from a dozen species, many now extinct. Her quantum core could bend space itself. Her weapons could tear apart matter at the subatomic level. But her greatest strength was her crew. Harris entered the mess hall where many of them had gathered for their final meal before departure. Conversations quieted as he entered, all eyes turning to him. He saw determination in those faces. Fear too, but controlled. "As you were," he said, moving to get coffee from the dispenser. Lisa Ryan, his second-in-command, joined him. "All systems are green, Captain. Engineering reports the core is running at 97% efficiency. And the new shield modifications? Installed and tested. They should hold against Varaxis energy weapons better than anything we've had before." She hesitated. "You should know. The crew left messages for their families, just in case." Harris nodded. "Smart. I need to do the same." "Sir," Lisa said quietly, "do you really think we can pull this off? One ship against their entire horde?" Harris considered the question. Lisa deserved honesty, they all did. "I think we have a chance," he said finally. "Better than anyone's had so far. The Varaxis have never faced a ship like the Defiant, or a crew like ours." He looked at the gathered men and women. "Every person here has survived a Varaxis attack. Every person here has lost family, friends, homes. We know what we're fighting for." Lisa smiled slightly. "And what they're fighting against." "Exactly." Harris finished his coffee. Get some rest, Commander. We launch in 5 hours. In his private quarters, Harris recorded a brief message for Earth Command to be sent if the Defiant didn't return. He had no family left to address it to. The Varaxes had taken them all. After finishing, he opened a small compartment in his desk and removed an old photo. It showed a laughing couple with a young boy between them, standing before the terraformed landscapes of Proxima b. His father's arm was around his mother's shoulders. All three were smiling. Harris touched the image gently, then returned it to the compartment. He had carried enough grief. Now it was time for action. The launch countdown began right on schedule. The Defiant rose from Earth's orbital dock, her engines glowing blue against the darkness of space. Below, the last great human city stretched across North America, its lights a defiant statement against the encroaching doom that had swallowed so many worlds. On the bridge, Harris took his command chair. Around him, his crew worked with quiet efficiency. Core at full power, reported Chief Engineer Jack Wilson. Weapons systems online, added Weapons Officer Maria Garcia. Navigation ready, course plotted to the Cygnus Expanse, said Navigator Sam Park. Harris looked at the main view screen, which showed Earth growing smaller as they moved away. Somewhere in the depths of the Cygnus Expanse lay the heart of Varaxis, territory, their central control node, their vulnerability. Communications, Harris said. Send final confirmation to command. We are underway. Communications Officer Diane Lee nodded. Message sent, Captain. Harris took a deep breath. Engage quantum drive. Space itself seemed to fold around the Defiant. Stars stretched into lines, then vanished completely as the ship entered the quantum realm. In this space between spaces, they could travel vast distances instantly. It was humanity's greatest achievement, reverse-engineered from the ruins of fallen civilizations, and it was taking them straight into the heart of enemy territory. Quantum transition successful, announced Park. Estimated arrival at Cygnus Expanse outer boundary, 6 hours. Harris nodded. Maintain stealth protocols. All sections. Prepare for possible combat upon arrival. He stood. Commander Ryan, you have the bridge. I'll be in my ready room reviewing intelligence reports. As he left the bridge, Harris felt the weight of their mission. One ship against an enemy that had devastated thousands of worlds. It seemed impossible, but humans had always accomplished the impossible when their backs were against the wall. And now, the wall was right behind them. The Defiant emerged from quantum space at the edge of the Cygnus Expanse. The ship's advanced stealth systems activated immediately, making it nearly invisible against the backdrop of stars. Transition complete, Navigator Sam Park announced. Position confirmed at the outer boundary of the Cygnus Expanse. Captain Ben Harris nodded. Status report. All systems nominal, replied Chief Engineer Jack Wilson. Core stability at 94%, better than our simulations predicted. Stealth field holding, added Lisa Ryan, checking her monitors. No indication that our arrival was detected. Harris moved to the tactical display at the center of the bridge. The holographic map showed thousands of stars, with highlighted areas marking known Varaxis activity. Intelligence reports had suggested that somewhere in this vast region lay their command center, the brain controlling their entire horde across the galaxy. Begin long-range scans, Harris ordered. Passive sensors only. We observe and learn before we engage. For the next 72 hours, the Defiant drifted silently through the outer regions of Varaxis territory. The crew worked in shifts, gathering data on enemy movements and communications. Sleep was difficult for many. They were deep in enemy space, where no human ship had ventured and survived. On the third day, Dr. Grace Miller, the ship's chief scientist, requested a meeting with the captain. Harris found her in the science lab, surrounded by holographic displays of data. You've found something, Harris said. It wasn't a question. Dr. Miller nodded, her eyes bright with discovery despite her obvious exhaustion. Look at these energy patterns, Captain. She gestured to a display showing waves of energy moving between Varaxis ships. Their vessels communicate using quantum entanglement. It's instantaneous regardless of distance. That's not new information, Doctor. We've known about their communication methods. Yes, but look here. She zoomed in on one particular pattern. There's a hierarchy to it. These smaller vessels report to these larger ones, which report to these even larger command ships. But all of them, every single one, sends data back to a single point. She tapped a control, and the display shifted to show a massive artificial structure orbiting a dead star. That's it, Harris whispered. Their central node. I believe so, Dr. Miller confirmed. And there's more. The Viraxis don't just destroy worlds, they harvest them. These energy signatures show massive power transfers after each conquest. They're feeding something. Feeding what? I don't know yet. But whatever it is, it's at that central node. Harris studied the display. How heavily defended is it? Very. I count at least 200 capital ships in the immediate vicinity, with thousands of smaller vessels. And those are just the ones we can detect from this distance. Harris was silent for a moment, thinking. Could we get closer, get better scans? It would be risky, Dr. Miller admitted. But yes, I believe our stealth systems could manage it if we're careful. Harris nodded. Plot a course. Minimum power, maximum stealth. I want to see this central node up close. The Defiant moved deeper into Viraxis territory, sliding between patrol routes and avoiding detection zones that Dr. Miller's team had identified. The closer they got to the central node, the more enemy ships they encountered. Their activity is increasing. Lisa Ryan reported on the 5th day, it's like watching an angry hornet's nest. Harris studied the tactical display. Are they aware of us? No indication of that, sir. But they're definitely preparing for something big. A new attack, Weapons Officer Maria Garcia suggested from her station. Maybe they're readying for their assault on Earth. The thought hung heavy in the air. Everyone on the bridge knew that Earth's defenses couldn't withstand what the Viraxis had brought against other worlds. We need to move faster, Harris decided. Dr. Miller, how close do we need to get for detailed scans of the central node? Within 1 light hour would be ideal, she replied from her science station. Navigator, plot a course. Engineering, prepare for short quantum jumps. Nothing that would give off enough energy for them to detect. Over the next day, the Defiant made a series of brief quantum jumps, moving closer to the heart of Viraxis territory. Between jumps, they drifted with minimal power, gathering data. The risk increased with each jump, but so did their understanding of the enemy. Captain, Dr. Miller called from her station. I'm detecting something unusual from the central node. Harris moved to her side. What is it? It's a pulse, a regular energy discharge that travels through their entire network. She looked up at him, her expression troubled. It's like a heartbeat, Captain, or a reset signal. Meaning what? I think the Viraxis aren't individual entities. They're extensions of a single consciousness, one that needs constant reinforcement from the central node. Harris considered this. If we disrupt that signal, then the entire horde might become disorganized, at least temporarily. Or permanently, Lisa Ryan added, joining them. If the connection was severed completely. Harris returned to his command chair, his mind racing with possibilities. How would we do it? The node is too heavily defended for a direct assault. Perhaps not a conventional assault, Dr. Miller suggested. The quantum core that powers our ship, it creates a very specific type of space-time distortion. If we modified it, we could create a localized disruption field, Chief Engineer Wilson finished, understanding immediately. But Captain, that would mean... I know what it would mean. Harris interrupted. Keep working on it, I need options. That night, alone in his quarters, Harris stared at the old photo of his family. What would they think of the plan forming in his mind? A plan that might save countless worlds, but at a terrible cost. His thoughts were interrupted by the ship's alarm. Harris rushed to the bridge. Report, he demanded as he entered. Viraxis patrol ships, Lisa Ryan answered, her voice tight. 7 vessels on intercept course. They've detected us. Harris took his chair. Battle stations. All hands prepare for combat. Throughout the ship, crew members moved to their emergency positions. They had trained for this moment, but training was different from facing the enemy that had destroyed thousands of civilizations. "They're scanning us," Communications Officer Diane Lee reported, attempting to identify. "Let's give them something to remember," Harris said grimly. "Weapons, target the lead vessel. Engineering, divert power to forward shields." "Weapons locked," Maria Garcia confirmed. "Shields at maximum," added Jack Wilson. The Varaxis ships formed a half-circle closing in on the Defiant. Their bone-white hulls gleamed in the light of distant stars. "They're charging weapons," Lisa warned. Harris leaned forward in his chair. The moment of stealth was over. Now would come the test of everything they had built, everything they had planned. Fire. The Defiant's first shot blazed across space, a beam of concentrated quantum energy that struck the lead Varaxis ship. Instead of exploding as expected, the enemy vessel seemed to collapse inward, folding in on itself like paper crushed by an invisible hand. "Direct hit," Maria Garcia reported, surprise evident in her voice. "Target destroyed." The bridge crew stared in momentary shock. No human weapon had ever taken down a Varaxis ship so easily. "The quantum lance works better than expected," Harris said, breaking the silence. "Target the next vessel. Helm evasive pattern Delta." The Defiant moved with surprising speed for its size, dodging energy blasts from the remaining Varaxis ships. Its advanced shields flared blue where enemy fire connected but held firm. "Return fire all batteries," Harris ordered. The human warship unleashed its arsenal. Quantum beams sliced through space, while graviton torpedoes distorted the fabric of reality around their targets. Two more Varaxis ships imploded, their strange organic-looking hulls shriveling like leaves in fire. "They're retreating," Lisa Ryan announced as the remaining 4 enemy vessels broke formation and accelerated away. "Let them go," Harris said. "We don't want to draw more attention than necessary." "Damage report?" "Shields at 82%, Chief Engineer," Wilson replied. "Minor power fluctuations in the quantum core, but nothing we can't handle." "Sir," Communications Officer Diane Lee cut in. "I'm monitoring their transmissions. They're sending data about us to the central node." Harris nodded, grimly, as expected. They've never encountered something like the Defiant before. They'll adapt their tactics next time. "Captain," Dr. Miller called from her science station, "I recorded everything during the battle. The way those ships collapsed when hit by our quantum weapons. It confirms my theory. The Varaxis vessels aren't just ships. They're extensions of the central consciousness. When we severed that connection with our quantum weapons, they couldn't maintain their physical structure. A weakness we can exploit," Harris said thoughtfully. "But we won't have the element of surprise again. Helm, set course away from their patrol routes. We need time to analyze this data and prepare for what comes next." The Defiant slipped back into stealth mode and moved to a safer position, a remote area between star systems where they could work undisturbed. But they didn't have much time. In the ship's conference room, Harris gathered his senior officers. Holographic displays showed the battle data and known Varaxis positions. "The good news is our weapons work," Harris began. "We can hurt them. The bad news is they now know we exist, and they'll be hunting for us." "It gets worse," Lisa Ryan added. "Long-range scans show increased activity throughout the sector. Their ships are changing patrol patterns, expanding search grids. And we've detected a large fleet moving from the central node," Navigator Park said. "Approximately 300 vessels on a direct course for Earth." A heavy silence fell over the room. "How long until they reach Earth?" Harris asked. "At their current speed, 8 days," Park replied. Harris stood and walked to the main display showing the central node. "Then we have less than 8 days to execute our mission. Dr. Miller, what's the status of your analysis?" The scientist stepped forward. "We've confirmed that the central node broadcasts a continuous signal to all Varaxis ships and forces. It's a complex quantum pattern that maintains their cohesion and gives them direction. If we could disrupt this signal, the entire horde would be affected," Harris finished. but getting close enough to the node to affect it would be nearly impossible now. Their defenses will be on high alert. There might be another way, Chief Engineer Wilson said quietly. All eyes turned to him. The quantum core that powers our ship, with certain modifications, we could turn it into what I'd call a quantum bomb. Explain, Harris said. Instead of creating a conventional explosion, it would generate a quantum disruption field, like a localized failure in the fabric of spacetime itself. Anything caught within that field would have its quantum structure scrambled. For the Varaxis central node, which appears to be one massive quantum computer, it would be like wiping its brain, Dr. Miller finished, understanding immediately. Exactly, Wilson nodded. But there's a catch. The ship would need to be very close to the node when the core is triggered, and whoever activates it wouldn't be able to escape the effect. Again, silence fell over the room as the implication became clear. A suicide mission, Lisa Ryan said finally. Harris looked at each face around the table. Not necessarily. We could use remote detonation or program an automated approach. With respect, Captain. Wilson shook his head. The modifications required would make the core highly unstable. It would need constant adjustments during the approach. Someone would need to be there monitoring it until the final moment. Harris nodded slowly. I understand. Continue your analysis, refine the plan, but start making those modifications to the core. We're running out of time. As the meeting ended, Lisa Ryan remained behind with Harris. Ben, she said quietly, using his first name now that they were alone. You're thinking of piloting the ship yourself for the final approach, aren't you? Harris didn't answer immediately. He stared at the display showing the massive Varaxis fleet heading toward Earth. We all volunteered for this mission knowing it might be one way, he said finally. But I won't order anyone to certain death. We all lost someone to the Varaxis, Lisa reminded him. Every person on this ship would volunteer. Before Harris could respond, the ship's alarm blared again. Captain to the bridge, came Park's voice over the intercom. Multiple contacts approaching. They rushed to the bridge, finding the crew already at battle stations. 15 Varaxis vessels, Park reported. They've formed a search pattern. They haven't detected us yet, but their course will bring them right to our position in approximately 10 minutes. Options? Harris asked. We could maintain stealth and hope they miss us, Lisa suggested. Or we could fight, Maria Garcia said from weapons. We proved we can hurt them. 15 ships is different from 7, Harris noted. And fighting would certainly draw more of them. He studied the tactical display, then made his decision. We need more time to prepare our strike against the central node. Helm, plot a course away from their search pattern. We'll stay in stealth mode and avoid engagement for now. The Defiant powered up its engines, moving slowly to avoid detection. But as they began to pull away, one of the Varaxis ships suddenly changed course, heading directly toward them. They've detected our engine signature, Park said, alarm in his voice. Full power to stealth systems, Harris ordered. It's not working, Lisa reported. They must have adapted after our last encounter. The Varaxis ship accelerated, and the others in its group quickly changed course to follow. Harris gripped the arms of his command chair. Battle stations. All hands prepare for combat. The Defiant's weapons came online as the first Varaxis ship closed in. This time the enemy knew what they were facing. This time they were ready, and so was the Defiant. Fire at will, Harris commanded. The battle for humanity's future had truly begun. The second battle was nothing like the first. The Varaxis had learned. As the Defiant fired its quantum lance at the lead enemy ship, a shimmering field appeared around the target. The beam struck this field and scattered, its energy dispersed, harmlessly into space. They've adapted their shields, Maria Garcia reported from weapons. Minimal damage to target. Switch to graviton torpedoes, Harris ordered. Full spread. The torpedoes launched, small spheres of concentrated energy that distorted space around them as they flew. 3 struck a Varaxis ship before its shields could adjust. The vessel shuddered, its structure wavering like a mirage. but it did not collapse as the others had. "They're learning fast," Lisa Ryan said grimly. The Varaxis fleet responded with coordinated fire. Energy beams struck the Defiant from multiple angles. The human ship's shields flared bright blue under the assault. "Shields at 64% and dropping," Chief Engineer Wilson reported from his station. "We can't take fire from all of them at once." Harris studied the tactical display. "Helm, get us between those two larger vessels. Force them to hold fire or risk hitting each other." The Defiant surged forward, its engines pushing to maximum as it aimed for a gap in the enemy formation. Two Varaxis ships had to break off their attack as the human vessel slipped between them. "Target the smaller vessels first," Harris commanded. "They seem to have weaker shields." For the next 20 minutes, the battle raged across a widening area of space. The Defiant managed to destroy 4 enemy ships, but not without cost. A powerful blast breached their shields momentarily, scoring a hit along the port hull. "Damage to decks 3 and 4, Wilson reported. "Emergency force fields. Holding. Medical reports casualties," Lisa added. 7 injured, 2 critical. Harris made a quick decision. "We can't win this battle, not against these numbers. Prepare for quantum jump." "Sir, the core is still recovering from the last jump," Wilson warned. "It's not at optimal capacity. We have no choice," Harris replied. "Navigator, plot a course to these coordinates." He sent the location from his console to Park's station. "Captain, that's only 2 light hours from the central node," Park said, surprise in his voice. "Exactly. It's the last place they'll expect us to go. Execute jump on my mark." The Defiant took another hit, its shields flickering dangerously. "Shields at 31%, Wilson called out. "Mark," Harris ordered. Space folded around the Defiant. Stars stretched into lines, then vanished as the ship entered the quantum realm. The pursuing Varaxis vessels were left behind, unable to track the human ship through its dimensional shift. Seconds later, the Defiant emerged from quantum space, now much closer to the heart of Varaxis territory. Emergency alert sounded throughout the ship. "Core stability at 74% and falling," Wilson reported urgently. "That jump was too soon after the last one." "Stabilize it," Harris ordered. "Divert power from non-essential systems if you have to." "Already. Doing so, sir. The core is responding, but it needs time to recover." Harris nodded. "Status of our location?" "No immediate threats detected," Park replied, scanning his instruments. "We appear to be in a relatively quiet sector, but we're much closer to the central node than before. Long-range scans show heavy Varaxis activity approximately 1 light hour from our position." "Good. That gives us time to make repairs and finalize our plan." Harris turned to Lisa. "Status of our injured?" "Medical reports they're stabilized. No fatalities." Harris felt relief wash over him. They had lost no one yet, but their mission was far from over. "Captain," Dr. Miller called from her science station. "I'm detecting unusual energy readings from the central node. Something's happening. There." Harris joined her at her console. The display showed massive energy spikes emanating from the Varaxis command structure. "Could they be preparing a weapon?" he asked. Dr. Miller shook her head. "This doesn't match any weapon signature we've seen. It's more like a summoning." "Summoning what?" "I don't know. But whatever it is, it's big." Harris returned to his command chair. "Keep monitoring it. I want to know the minute anything changes." He opened a ship-wide channel. "All hands, this is the captain. We've suffered damage, but we're safe for the moment. Repair teams focus on our shield generators and weapon systems. Everyone else continue preparation for our final mission. We're close to the Varaxis central node, and we will not get another chance at this." Harris out. In the hours that followed, the crew worked tirelessly to repair the Defiant and prepare for what was to come. In engineering, Chief Wilson and his team made the final modifications to the quantum core, converting the ship's power source into a weapon that could potentially end the Varaxis threat. Harris visited the injured crew members in medical, then went to engineering to check on progress. "How's it coming?" he asked Wilson, who was deep inside an access panel, hands covered in conductive gel, as he reworked delicate quantum circuitry. "Almost there, Captain," Wilson replied without looking up. "The core modifications are about 80% complete. But I should warn you again. Once these changes are finalized, there's no going back. The core will become increasingly unstable. How long will we have after activation?" Wilson finally turned to face him. "Best estimate? 20 minutes before critical failure becomes inevitable. After that, nothing can stop the quantum cascade." Harris nodded. "That should be enough time. There's something else you should know," Wilson added, his voice lower. "I've been working on a way to remotely trigger the cascade. It might be possible to set the Defiant on an automated course toward the node and then escape in the shuttles before detonation." Hope flickered in Harris's eyes. "Would that work?" Wilson hesitated. "In theory, yes. But the core will need constant adjustments during the approach, especially when the Varaxis defenses start firing on us. An automated system might not be able to handle it. The chance of premature detonation or failure would be high. But not impossible." "Not impossible," Wilson agreed. "Just unlikely to succeed." Harris placed a hand on the engineer's shoulder. "Keep working on it. I want options." When Harris returned to the bridge, he found Lisa Ryan and Dr. Miller in intense discussion. "What's happening?" he asked. "The energy patterns from the central node have changed," Dr. Miller explained, "and we're detecting massive movement throughout Varaxis territory. Their ships are converging." "On Earth?" Harris asked, alarmed. "No," Lisa replied. "On the central node itself. It's like they're being called home." Dr. Miller nodded. "Whatever the Varaxis have been harvesting from all those worlds they destroyed, I think they're about to use it for something big." Harris stared at the tactical display, watching as hundreds, then thousands of Varaxis vessels moved toward the central node from all directions. "How long until they're all gathered?" he asked. "At current speeds, about 18 hours, Park replied from navigation. Harris made his decision. "Then we have 18 hours to prepare. Whatever they're planning, we're going to stop it. Alert all department heads. Meeting in 1 hour to finalize our attack plan." As the officers dispersed to their duties, Harris remained on the bridge, watching the gathering Varaxis armada. Against such numbers, the Defiant stood little chance. But sometimes, one ship was all you needed, especially when that ship carried humanity's last hope. The plan was simple in concept, nearly impossible in execution. The Defiant would approach the Varaxis central node under stealth. When close enough, they would activate the modified quantum core, creating a disruption field that would destroy the node and sever the connection to all Varaxis ships across the galaxy. The details were what made it dangerous. "The automated approach won't work," Chief Engineer Wilson explained during the final briefing. "I've run every simulation. The core's instability requires human adjustment all the way to the target." Harris nodded, having expected this. "Then, we'll need volunteers to pilot the ship for the final approach." "I volunteer," Lisa Ryan said immediately. "As do I," added Maria Garcia. One by one, each officer volunteered. Harris felt pride even as his heart grew heavy. "I appreciate your courage," he said, "but we need most of you on the escape shuttles carrying the data back to Earth. If we fail, that information will be humanity's only hope." He looked at each face around the table. "I'll pilot the Defiant." No one seemed surprised. They had all known it would come to this. "Sir?" Lisa started to object, but Harris raised a hand. "My decision is final, Commander. You'll lead the evacuation and ensure the data reaches Earth." His tone softened. "Besides, I've been piloting ships longer than anyone here." Dr. Miller spoke up. "Captain, the latest scans show over 3,000 Varaxis vessels now gathered at the central node. Whatever they're planning appears to be reaching its peak. Energy readings are off the charts." "Then we have no more time to waste," Harris said. "Begin evacuation procedures. All non-essential personnel to the shuttles." The next hour passed in organized urgency. The crew loaded the 4 escape shuttles with all their research data, along with supplies for the long journey home. Only a skeleton crew would remain aboard the Defiant for the approach, just enough to manage critical systems until the final minutes. Harris recorded his last official message to Earth, explaining their discoveries and their plan. He kept it brief and factual, though he ended with a personal note. Tell the survivors of Proxima B that their world has been avenged. With the preparations complete, Harris called the remaining bridge crew together. Last chance to transfer. To the shuttles, he told them. No one will think less of you. Not one person moved. Lisa Ryan, who would stay until the last possible moment, spoke for all of them. We started this mission together, Captain. We'll see it through together. Harris nodded, a lump in his throat. Very well. Stations, everyone. Let's save our species. The Defiant powered up its engines, engaging its most advanced stealth systems. They would have only one chance at this. Course laid in. Navigator Park reported. ETA to optimal strike position, 42 minutes. Core modifications complete, Wilson added from engineering. Quantum disruption field ready to activate on your command. Estimated time from activation to critical mass, 18 minutes. Harris took his seat. Begin approach. The Defiant moved silently toward the massive gathering of Varax's ships. The central node loomed ahead, a structure the size of a small moon pulsing with energy. Around it, thousands of vessels hung in formation, connected by streams of energy that flowed back and forth like a living network. Energy levels in the node are still rising, Dr. Miller reported, her voice hushed. It's like nothing I've ever seen. They must be channeling power from their entire fleet. For what purpose? Lisa asked. Unknown. But at this magnitude, Dr. Miller shook her head. It could affect space-time itself. The Defiant continued its approach, weaving carefully between outlying Varax's ships. Their stealth systems held, but the density of enemy vessels was increasing. Distance to optimal position, 15 minutes. Park updated. Suddenly, alarms blared. Across the bridge, we've been detected, Lisa called out. Multiple vessels changing course to intercept. Harris remained calm. Continue approach, weapons, target any immediate threats. The Defiant's weapons fired, taking out two smaller Varax's ships that moved to block their path. But the alarm had been raised. More enemy vessels turned toward them. We're not going to reach the optimal position, Lisa said grimly. Harris studied the tactical display. New plan. Prepare to launch the shuttles now. Engineering. Begin core destabilization sequence. But sir, Wilson protested over the comm. We're still too far for maximum effect. It's close enough, Harris decided. Launch shuttles. All remaining crew, evacuate to Shuttle 4 immediately. Throughout the ship, the last of the crew rushed to the final shuttle, where Lisa Ryan waited to take command. Only Harris, Park, Wilson, and Dr. Miller remained on the bridge. You should go, Harris told them. I can handle the final approach. The three officers exchanged glances. With respect, Captain, Wilson said. You'll need me to monitor the core. And you'll need navigation, Park added. And someone to monitor the Varax's energy patterns, Dr. Miller finished. Harris wanted to order them to leave, but time was running out. Very well. But when I give the final order, you go to Shuttle 4. That's non-negotiable. Varax's weapons fire struck the Defiant, rocking the ship. Shields flared and systems sparked. Shields at 52%, Wilson reported. Core destabilization at 17%, Dr. Miller added. 13 minutes to critical mass. Harris opened a channel to the shuttles. All shuttles launch now. Maximum speed away from the node. On the view screen, he watched as three small craft broke away from the Defiant, immediately going to full power. The fourth, Lisa's shuttle, remained docked. Commander Ryan, Harris said sharply. I gave you an order. Just waiting for the rest of the bridge crew, sir, came her steady reply. More Varax's fire struck the Defiant. A console exploded, showering sparks. Shields at 38%, Wilson called out. We can't take much more of this. Distance to effective range? Harris asked. 2 more minutes at current speed, Park replied, hands dancing over his controls as he weaved the ship through enemy fire. Those 2 minutes felt like hours. The Defiant shuddered under constant bombardment, systems failing across the ship. But Park's skilled piloting kept them moving toward their target. "We're in range," Park finally announced. "Core destabilization at 41%, Wilson reported. 9 minutes to critical mass." Harris nodded. "Park, Wilson, Miller, to the shuttle." "Now!" This time they didn't argue. The 3 officers hurried from the bridge, leaving Harris alone. "Commander Ryan," Harris said over the comm, "as soon as they're aboard, launch immediately. Don't wait for me." There was a pause before Lisa's voice came back. "Understood, Captain. It's been an honor." Harris set the final course, directly at the heart of the central node. He disabled the safeties on the quantum core, ensuring nothing could stop the cascade once it began. As the Defiant accelerated toward its target, more Varaxis ships moved to intercept, but they were too late. The human warship was already too close, its momentum too great. Harris opened a channel to the Varaxis frequency that Dr. Miller had identified. "This is Captain Ben Harris of Earth," he said, though he doubted they would understand or care. "This is for Proxima B, for New Centauri, for every world you destroyed." He watched on the view screen as Shuttle 4 finally broke away from the Defiant, racing to join the others. The central node filled his view now. At its heart, he could see an intense light growing brighter, whatever terrible weapon or process the Varaxis had been building toward. It would never be completed. "For Earth," Harris whispered as he activated the final sequence. The Defiant's quantum core went critical. Space itself seemed to twist and fold around the ship as the disruption field expanded outward. The field struck the central node at its most vulnerable point, just as the Varaxis were channeling maximum energy through their network. The node didn't simply explode. It collapsed, the disruption cascading through its quantum structure and out along the energy streams connecting to every Varaxis ship. Throughout the galaxy, across thousands of star systems, Varaxis vessels suddenly stopped. Some drifted aimlessly. Others turned against each other in confusion. Many simply shut down. The hive mind that had devastated the galaxy was broken. Aboard Shuttle 4, Lisa Ryan watched the distant flash where the Defiant and the central node had been. There was no debris, no conventional explosion, just a brief, bright point of light that quickly faded, leaving a void in space where both had existed. "Captain Harris?" she called over the comm, knowing there would be no answer. She turned to the others, Wilson, Park, Miller, and the rest of the survivors. Just 78 people out of the Defiant's crew of 100. Their faces showed grief, exhaustion, and something else. Hope. "Set course for Earth," Lisa ordered. "We have news to deliver and a story that needs to be told." The 4 small shuttles aligned and activated their engines, beginning the long journey home. Behind them, the once mighty Varaxis armada drifted. In disarray, their threat to the galaxy ended by one human warship and its brave captain who refused to let humanity go quietly into the night.